Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. The Australian Open 2023 draw is out. We're going to give you guys our reaction to the draw, or my reaction to the draw, and it's an interesting one. It really is. Before we get into it though, remember to that like button and do subscribe if you are new. Also leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform, and thank you to our members. Djokovic and Nadal are on separate halves of the draw. Djokovic on the bottom half, Nadal on the top half. And it's been an interesting draw, I think. It's going to be a really, really good tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. There's going to be some people who are not particularly happy. Dominic Thiem and Andy Murray, and we'll go into that in a bit. And maybe Nadal. We'll talk about that in a second. Djokovic, though, well, we're going to do each contender anyway. So a group of contenders for the title. We have their road to the Australian Open title route. So potential opponents, actually from TSH Tennis on Instagram. Do check them out. And we're going to go through their routes to the final, potential to win it, on top of also some of the popcorn matches as well in the first round. I will do a more detailed draw preview and prediction video once qualifiers are done, because then I'm going to do my picks as I always do for slams, and you can see me pick my predicted winners and get it completely wrong as always. Okay, so Djokovic, in my opinion, he would be really happy with this draw. And maybe it's just the fact that, look, he's made his own luck. He's won at the Australian Open so many times that favor has shone upon him. And look, I mean, I don't think there is anyone of these potential opponents that can beat him. I think if he loses, it's because he has a dip in form. If he plays the level that we know, I don't think anyone has a chance, honestly. Round one, he's got Kyrgios Bayana potentially. Then Hugo Dellien in round two. Well, he's definitely playing Kyrgios Bayana in round one. But in round two, he's potentially playing Hugo Dellien. Round three, Grigor Dimitrov. Round four, Pablo Carreño Busta. Quarterfinal, Rublev or Rune or Kyrgios. Semi-finals of Ruud or Fritz. And final of Nadal. I don't think he has any issues up until the quarterfinals. I think Kyrgios, Bayana, Dellien, Dimitrov, Pablo Carreño Busta. I know Pablo Carreño Busta has beaten him before on a hard court. I don't see it happening again. I think Dimitrov, again, don't really see him beating Djokovic on. These are fast, hard courts, so Dimitrov might be able to take a set off him, but I can't see him beating him. Quarterfinal stage, Rublev or Rune or Kyrgios. Kyrgios or Rune have a better chance, in my opinion. Rublev is tailor-made for Djokovic. Rune and Kyrgios. Rune's just beaten Djokovic at the Paris Masters not too long ago, and Kyrgios had a very close encounter with him in the Wimbledon final, but different surface. And I feel like actually the Australian Open surface is even more of an advantage for Novak Djokovic. However, the crowd will be on Kyrgios' side, so it probably evens it out and we get a decent match, but Djokovic would be the favourite, of course. Semi-finals of Ruud and Fritz, I think both of them, unfortunately, just style-wise don't match up well. And then the final of Nadal, who, if we're talking about Nadal 10 years ago, then this is a really good match and potentially a 50-50. But now it's no longer a 50-50 on hard courts. It's really not. He hasn't beaten Djokovic for a few years now on hard courts. He would go into a big favourite. Nadal, though, in finals is good. We know that. At the Australian Open, he hasn't had the best of times in Australian Open finals, but of course is the reigning champion. The question is going to be, can he make it that far? Because we'll go into the draw in a second, but it's definitely not easy. Last year, there were kind of comments levied at Nadal that his draw was a little bit easy on the way to his victory at the Australian Open. I think even then people weren't expecting him to win it, despite the draw. This year, though, as reigning champion and as a high seed, unfortunately, he's got a pretty tough draw if you're a Rafa fan. And everyone knows that I'm a Rafa fan. I think this is a really, really tough draw. He's got Jack Draper in round one. I genuinely think that is a potential banana skin. I genuinely think that Rafael Nadal could lose in the first round to Jack Draper. I'm British as well. I know I might be hyping him up, but I know his ability. I know how good he is. And the fact that he's a big server and a big hitter, it doesn't spell out easy first round to me. It spells out potential upset because Nadal tends to lose to these types of players in the first round if he's playing them, if he's drawn against them. But let's say he gets past Jack Draper. He's got round 2 of Brandon Nakashima, who, again, not a particularly easy player to play against. Next-gen winner last year, and also took Kyrgios to 5 sets at Wimbledon. He's also, one of the up-and-coming young stars. He's gone a little bit under the radar, I have to say. A lot more than, say, a Runa or Alcaraz or Musetti or a Korda recently as well has been in really good form. But he's coming. Nishioka in round 3 is in some good form. Made the semi-finals with Adelaide International 1 last week, losing to Sebastian Korda. I think that's a very winnable match, but he's in some good form, so it's not going to be the easiest of matches. And then round 4 is Francis Tiafoe, who beat Nadal in round 4 of the US Open last year, so he's got some good memories against Nadal. He'll fancy his chances against him. Nadal won't be happy to potentially meet him, I'd imagine, in round 4. Quarterfinals of Daniel Medvedev as a potential opponent. The Australian Open final replay, potentially. We'll see. Daniel Medvedev is, the second best hardcourt player in the world, I think. So that's not an easy quarterfinal. Yes, Nadal has a decent record against Medvedev, and, he would back himself to beat him. But I have to say, it's going to be tough, and I'm not sure whether he gets through that. Similarly, I don't even know if he gets through the Tsitsipas match, because I'm saying genuinely a lot. I think that Tsitsipas might actually have a better chance against Nadal on a hard court than a clay court. That might sound crazy to say, because Steph's best surface is clay, you would say, right? So is Nadal's. But I think just in terms of ability, Nadal's up here on clay, and Steph's here. But on hard court, I feel like Nadal's here and Steph's here. I feel like they're probably about similar level on the hard courts at the moment. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Steph also doesn't mind taking the ball high on his backhand. The fast courts suit his forehand game, his serve and forehand game, which he dominates with on tour. It's one of the biggest weapons, that serve forehand combo. He's made back-to-back semi-finals. He'll be looking to go one further. And the final, potentially, of Djokovic. So, honestly, you might say, okay, fine, maybe the first 3 rounds. Although I still think Draper's a banana skin. But from round 4 onwards, he could lose at any point. And you might say, well, it's a Grand Slam. You can lose at any point in a second week. Not if you're Nadal or Djokovic. You're expected to beat these players. But I think Nadal on this surface against these players, I'm not too confident, honestly. Kyrgios. Well, this is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be an interesting one for Nick Kyrgios. He has Safiullin in the first round, Umber in the second round. Those are winnable matches. He should get through those. Holger Rune in the third round is where it becomes really tough. Holger Rune, round 3, Rublev round 4, Djokovic quarterfinal, Rudolf Fritz semifinal, Nadal final. From round 3 onwards, he could lose at any point. He could also go on to win it, and that's just the type of player Nick Kyrgios is. The crowd will be behind him. Will he be a little bit? I know he's playing an exhibition against Djokovic tomorrow, so he can't be that injured. But he had a slight niggle. How much match practice has he had? He's pulled out 2 tournaments, Adelaide and also the United Cup. Hasn't played any tennis this year in terms of competitive tennis in 2023. Of course, early days. He's playing that exhibition against Djokovic. We'll see how he gets on, I guess. Although Djokovic did pull out against a practice match against Medvedev, so I don't know if that's going to go ahead, by the way. Anyways, we'll see. Kyrgios, I expect him to navigate his way through Safiullin, Umber, even Holger Rune. I think Holger Rune hasn't faced him much, if at all. So how does he adapt to Kyrgios' serve? Is he able to adapt to it quick enough? My answer is probably no. Rublev, I think he gets through as well. Then the quarterfinals is where the real test comes. If he beats Djokovic, I think he goes on to win it. So that could be a key match if it ends up happening. Medvedev's road to the Australian Open title is interesting. He's got Marcus Giron and Hussler in the first round, which I think is he should get through the first 2 rounds, you'd imagine. Round 3 onwards, though, he could lose to anyone. Sebastian Korda's in great form, made the final of Adelaide International 1, lost to Djokovic, had a match point, really tight matches. He's been playing some fantastic tennis, genuinely. If he plays the type of tennis we've seen at Adelaide at the Australian Open, he's a danger to anyone. I'm telling you now. Round 4, Huber catch. That's a really tough one as well. They've played some battles at the Australian Open. Sorry, in slams and in tournaments in general, they tend to really have long battles of attrition. Quarterfinal of Nadal, semi-final of Tsitsipas, final of Djokovic. So, as I said, round 3 onwards, it's a tough one for Medvedev. He won't be too happy with the draw, I'd imagine. Rublev has a slightly easier draw, although round 1 brings up a US Open champion in Dominic Thiem, who has had horrific draws. He has Rublev in the first round, really tough. You'd expect Rublev to get through it, but you just never know. There's that little bit of magic about Dominic Thiem, of course. He's making his way back. He's been in some good form at the back end of last year. Can he do it? We shall see. Round 2, Ruusuvuori. Again, a tough young up-and-comer, but Rublev should navigate his way through it. Similarly with Dan Evans in round 3. Round 4, Rune and Kyrgios. That's a tougher ask. I would expect either of those guys to beat him. That's no offense to Rublev. I just think given the form in the last year or so, Rublev's been pretty consistent, but against those two, I feel like they could be his undoing. Quarterfinal Djokovic, semi-final Rudolf Fritz, final Nadal. So, I'd be surprised if he gets to the quarterfinals. Well, no, I wouldn't. I think quarterfinals is what I predicted him to make when I initially did, way back when. Probably the case, isn't it? Does he get past Rune? Does he get past Rune and Kyrgios, though? I'm not so sure. For Casper Ruud, the number 2 seed, he's, of course, made 2 slam finals last year. He hasn't made a final of the Australian Open, though. Didn't play it last year. He's got Matchak in the first round. Should get through that. Brooksby is a tougher ask, but again, should navigate his way through that. And for Kina, round 4 onwards is where it gets really tasty. Matteo Berrettini, who he beat at the US Open last year, so a pretty recent match, but then lost to him at the United Cup recently. So that's going to be a fantastic battle. It's going to be a 50-50, in my opinion. Quarterfinal, Taylor Fritz. Again, another 50-50 because ATP finals is extremely tight between the two. That clash. Semi-finals, Novak Djokovic, and final of Rafael Nadal. So round 4 onwards, I mean, it's really tough for him. But knowing him, he will completely just blow the expectations out of the water as usual and go further than anyone expected. And that's what we love about Casper Ruud. Stefanos Tsitsipas has Halis in the first round, Hijikata second round, Van der Zandschulp third round. He should get through those. He should. Although Van der Zandschulp does like this surface. Could he cause the upset? I would probably say no. Sinner Musetti round 4. That's where it gets interesting. Musetti, I don't think will make it that far. Sinner, it'll be a tough one, but he should get through it. Felix in the quarterfinals is where I think is the toughest one out of the lot in terms of from Sinner, Van der Zandschulp, Hijikata, Halis. I think Felix is then the toughest one in the quarterfinals, which you would expect second week. Nadal, Djokovic, semi-finals and finals, respectively. We'll see. He's made back-to-back semi-finals. I think he'll be expecting to do the same at least. Felix has Pospisil. If I can not butcher his name. Pospisil in round 1, Wawrinka in round 2, Cerundolo round 3. Round 4 is Norrie or Coric. That could be a tricky one because Norrie is quite awkward to play, and I think Felix has found that. They've had some seesaw matches. Coric is also a tough customer at the moment. He's in good form. Cerundolo in round 3 would have been, I think he's got the legs, could make it tough, but he should get through it. Stan in round 2, again, could nick a set off him, but Felix should navigate his way through it. Quarterfinal of Stefanos Tsitsipas is tough, of course. Rafael Nadal semi-final and Djokovic final. And the first round popcorn matches, well, there's a few. Jack Draper versus Rafael Nadal's not on here, but it should be because it is, in my opinion, one of the top ones, and it is a potential banana skin, honestly. But Rublev Thiem, of course, we've got to talk about. And Berrettini Murray. I mean, Murray and Thiem have had horrific draws for the past year and a half in slams. They really have. It's been poor. Murray's had Steph in one of them. He's had, who else did he have? He had Berrettini first or second round, I think, of the US Open. It's been really, really bad for Murray. The only one that actually was pretty favorable was Wimbledon last year, but then he drew Isner in the third round, I think it was, and ended up losing to him for the first time ever. So it's just adding insult to injury. And I think he actually said, after beating Alex de Minaur at the Kyrgios Classic, he said he'd really like it if he just got a clean draw for once, and that's not the case. So sorry, Andy. Musetti Harris is also a very good one. Lloyd Harris against Lorenzo Musetti. Fokina Bublik, also another fantastic matchup. And Korda Garin. I think Korda's probably got the edge there, but Garin, don't sleep on him, of course. Berrettini and Rublev probably have a 65% chance of winning against Thiem and Murray, respectively. I think it's about the same percentage of chance, but you just never know with these former Grand Slam champions, and they are on the up and up. They are. It's just the question of, can they really raise their level enough for 3 sets to get past these guys? If they do, there'll be upsets, but there'll be good matches, I think, no matter what happens. Let me know your thoughts on the draw. Are you happy? Are you sad? Who are you supporting? And I'm assuming I'm going to get lots of comments from the Djokovic fans. Are you happy? Are you sad about the draw? Do you think, look, that's it, Novak's going to go on and win it? Do you think the draw even matters? It might be an easy draw, like I'm saying, but actually, if you had a harder draw, I'm assuming, would you say, yeah, you know what, I'm still confident he's going to get through it? If you're a Nadal fan, do you think, oh, it's okay, you can get through this hard draw? Or like me, are you thinking, probably not going to go as far as maybe expected, and maybe he's not going to be able to defend his title? And then for other fans as well, let me know your thoughts. I think Medvedev's got a really tough draw. Steph has a chance, I think, to go pretty deep. Kyrgios, what are his chances? Let me know your thoughts below. We're going to do a more detailed draw preview and prediction video where I pick my winners, as always, after qualifying is concluded. And I will go through that in detail for the ATP and WTA side as well. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well. See you on the next video.